December 30th, and I'm headed up to Unionville, Missouri, northern Missouri on the Iowa border to meet up with my buddy Nathan Wilts at Landon Water. We're going to try and kill a late season whitetail. Missouri has got an alternative method season. We got some pretty decent weather. It's a little bit warmer than it was last week, but still pretty good, pretty cold. It's going to be around freezing in the evenings. So we got the muzzleloader, and we're going to try and shoot a late season whitetail here. So we'll see what happens. All right, I've only been here about 3 or 4 hours, and I just got a call from my buddy Nathan Wilts. He shot a nice buck, so we're getting ready to go help him take some pictures and drag it out. Can't wait to see it. Yeah, man, that looks awesome. Seems like it's rare to get 2 consecutive weeks of super duper cold. You're almost always gonna have a warming trend on the back end. But you know, a lot of times, especially these big mature bucks, like they might lay up, get in thermal cover, you know, hunker down, not move much at all. Yeah. And then when it warms up a little bit like it does now, they'll come right back out onto a food source. Well, and we talked about that on the phone. I was like, do you come or do you not? Yeah. And I'm like, they're all stressed. Right. I mean, they have to eat. That's the whole name of the game at this point, is eating. So, and we have cover tight to food. Yeah. So, you know, he might have been laying 20 yards off the field. I guarantee it. And you saw several deer tonight. You said you saw like 15 deer. I did. So, and saw another, what I think is mature deer. It's really hard to tell this time of year, but man, he was big. You could tell he worked hard during the rut. I mean, his gut was sucked way in, but he was 4-year-old all day long. Yeah, man. And I think this is a pretty good 4-year-old. I mean, he's got a big, nice face. You can tell he's actually kind of saggy here. Yep. So he's starting to deflate a little bit. Beautiful deer, man. I guarantee you he looked great coming in. I mean, he's got kind of lighter color antlers, real tall on his 2s and 3s, man. Yeah. Awesome deer. I shouldn't have said that. I mean, it's not every day you can get a guy to drive all the way to North Carolina to help you drag a deer out. I know, man.
North American Whitetail is brought to you by Wild Tree Nurseries, by SIG Electro-Optics, and by Taurus.
All right, we just got set up for the afternoon hunt. This is a great spot. I can see forever. We're in the middle of a big CRP drainage on the middle of this farm, the dead middle. It runs right through. Just tall grass, ponds, thickets. There's just bedding everywhere. And above it, there's a cut bean field, but then on the top, right here on this high knob that I'm looking at, there's standing beans that were left as a food plot specifically for this late season. But there's a couple really good bucks on this farm. I hope they show up. If they come out in front of me, we should be able to kill them, no problem. If they come out behind us, it's gonna get a little western. We're gonna have to reposition. But we're laid up in this piece of old farm equipment. There's some old trucks and tractors around here. I think we're just gonna kind of blend in. I feel like we're in the open, but this stuff's been here for years, so the deer ought to be used to it. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be a fun evening, I think. We know there are a lot of great bucks in the area that we're hunting here in northern Missouri, but we haven't seen any yet. That afternoon, we decided to back out, regroup at camp, talk about a strategy, and implement a redneck ghillie blind at a new farm where several shooter bucks were starting to show up. We're gonna put the redneck ghillie blind to use. The farm is really set up well for hunting. We just need to have a spot where we can shoot these 2 patches of beans. So there's kind of there's a knob where we're gonna put this redneck blind. We're just gonna leave it on the back of the trailer. I don't think the deer are gonna pay a whole lot of attention to it. I think it's just gonna look like another piece of farm equipment. We're getting it set up today. That way we'll have another spot for the next afternoon sits here. So we're gonna see if we can't get a big mature buck killed here in northern Missouri.
I could shoot here probably pretty easily. So we've got a pretty good entry and exit route, which is really crucial this time of year. You got to be able to get out in the evenings if there's deer in the field. And you can see about 250 yards up there, some standing soybeans. About 160 yards, there's another patch of soybeans up here. We've got a great wind. Everything's pretty frozen right now, so hopefully we'll be able to get it out after we've killed a big buck. We'll see what happens. All right, we're getting ready to pull into the farm for the evening hunt. It's the 4th afternoon here in northern Missouri. Kind of had some weird weather. You know, it's been a little bit warmer than you would want for this late season, but it's actually pretty cool out today. It's 41 degrees, but there's a cool factor. It really feels like it's about 30. Going back to the standing beans, this is a spot where we have a redneck ghillie blind that we put out here on a trailer. There's standing beans in 2 different locations. The wind is really good for one standing beans, is a little marginal for the other. So we're gonna run the ozonics. We should be just fine. We're back off of them a little bit. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot of big deer on this farm. We just need one of them to step out into that food plot, and we'll see if we can't shoot them with the muzzleloader. We just got set in the redneck blind, like literally just climbed in here. I saw a little buck on the edge of the field, like a spike, and then I was looking at him in my binoculars, and behind him I could see a rack. And it's one of the good bucks that we know on this farm. I think he's a 4-year-old. I only have a couple trail camera pictures of him, but he's out there. He would be a 10, but he's broken off his right side, so he's a half rack. It happens this time of year. The rut's over. A lot of these bucks been fighting like crazy, and so you see them busted up like that. I mean, it's just right at 2 o'clock, so we got 3 hours left before it gets really dark, and that's a good sign to already have bucks out there on the beans. Well, we got a lot of fog rolling in. You can probably see it out there settling on top of these bean fields. I tell you what, it's making it really hard to see. I've got probably 300, 350 yards of visibility, but I can see these bean fields, the food plots in front of me pretty good. We're just having to really use our optics to keep an eye on them in case we see some tines, or if a buck's on the back side, you won't be able to really see his whole body. So we're just trying to make sure we don't miss anything, because they could come out anytime. Like a big 9, I think. Try and see if I can know it real good. Got it on about 275. We'll put it on 250. I don't want to shoot him on the move. You gonna leave? That ain't good.
North American Whitetail is brought to you by Easton, by Browning Clothing, and by Ram Trucks.
We're not gonna lose him though, right? There he is right there. Here he comes. That's him coming, right? Yeah. Put it on about 200. Okay. go, man. Be careful with this trigger, this thing's light. I think I hit him right there. I see. What we got here? See a lot of deer. So he was right there at that fence. It looked like he went right there to the left, man. He was getting ready to jump that fence. We just shot a buck. That's a pretty good buck. They slipped into the grass and they were headed down to this pond, and I could see the deer moving down through the CRP, and I could see his rack, and they eased down to that pond, and he was getting ready to jump a fence. And right before he jumped the fence, I put it on him, and it looked like he just hunched forward and fell into that grass or took off down. So it's hard with a muzzleloader to see exactly what happened. So I shot him right up here about these posts.
Right.
See those different fence posts?
Well, he's right here.
That's right.
He didn't go nowhere.
Yeah, man, there he is. He didn't go 15 yards, man. Big old long back. That's a pretty buck, man.
Good shot.
Golly, that was good. He went right down to this pond. You know, we saw these bucks coming down to the pond. Set the gun down and take a look at it. Pretty deer, man. Beautiful, nice and wide. I saw these long tines out in the bean field. Man, we were struggling to get a shot through all the fog. Got a shot off about 200 yards and he just folded up right here dead. So it's so much fun hunting here in northern Missouri. My buddy Nathan, Land and Water, you guys are starting to take some outfitted hunts, and we came up and started in November, hunted during the lockdown, the second week of gun season. We passed a nice young buck, and we hoped we'd be able to come back and do it again. And good Lord bless us, we got it done for North American Whitetail. So Nathan, thank you so much, man.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
Enjoyed it.
Me too, man.